Jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
Hey everyone, welcome to another video on the JayBee and Milly channel. Today we are on to episode 2 of a new Scooby Doo show. Please tell me I've got that right.
The Scooby Doo show.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say new.
Well, I think it's because we've just reviewed the new Scooby Doo movies, and I think I accidentally referred to it as the new Scooby Doo show on one of our top 10s. So I'll take the L.
It's your fault, JayBee. But yes, episode 2 of the Scooby Doo show. The Fiesta host is an Aztec ghost. So before we do this, JayBee, for anybody who's not seen this episode for a while or before, do you have a plot summary?
Yeah, of course.
So it fully put you on the spot with this as well.
So, well, it was the case last time as well, but I think I did okay. So, Scooby and the gang are in the Mystery Machine on their way to yet another adventure, seemingly in good old Mexico, when the Mystery Machine kind of seems to break down. But don't worry everyone watching, this isn't a return to the new Scooby-Doo movie's formula, because it isn't a problem with the Mystery Machine. It is in fact a huge footprint that leads to some very mysterious circumstances. When the gang do move on, we eventually see a glimpse of the stone creature that left that footprint. Moving across, they go into the Mexican hotel where a little miniature version of that statue seems to be wreaking havoc. After an encounter with some wacky tourists, the gang get deeper and deeper into the mystery until they find out who is behind the Aztec ghost. Who is it? We'll find out in this review.
Okay, perfect. So let's get into this one now. Ultimately, as this is episode 2, I guess it's worth mentioning if this is where you're kind of joining us with things. Last episode we went into the intro and the art style and our thoughts there a little bit more, as obviously they're kind of recurring. But into this episode specifically, like you say, the Mystery Machine gets stuck in that giant footprint. And I know we go over this quite a lot, but like, because of my memory issues, I don't always remember things that well. And for the ones we've reviewed so far, there wasn't really any huge moments where I was like, oh, I really, poignantly remember that moment. But for both the episodes we've reviewed so far, there's a lot of, each one has a strong memory for me. So genuinely, like the Mystery Machine going into that footprint, core memory, like genuinely, it's like really prominent.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have any childhood memories from this episode, but I actually do have a seemingly fond memory from it, and it's recent, okay? So, do you remember the day that I got my first, I think it was the very first COVID vaccine? And I was actually really weak with it. I was down for the count. I was bedridden all of either that day or the next day. But it was when we first were starting to get into like the back catalogue of Scooby, and it was either in the 50 classic episodes DVD or it was in the Spooky Tales from Around the World. But this was one of the first episodes that played. So I remember watching this. I think you were elsewhere, or maybe you'd fallen asleep somewhere. I don't know. Like, I just remember being curled up and just watching this episode. So I've got somewhat of a more recent memory with this episode that wasn't from childhood, but I don't know, it was kind of a good day, just getting my little shakes. I don't know. It was fun.
Good. I mean, what's your initial thoughts on the ghost? You know, kind of the one that they see that's like the kind of see-through ghost.
Like the big stone one.
Not the stone one. Not the actual.
Oh, the big stone spectre thing. Well, it looks like a big version of the stone.
It's a bigger version of the stone, yeah.
I like it purely initially purely because it wasn't a human as such. It was like a statue interpretation of a human. But because of its size, it actually seemed a bit more menacing. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay, so we see the ghost. The gang haven't yet. They kind of continue on their way. They do see it, and then when they get to the kind of town and everything where the fiesta is meant to be, they see the stone version and think that that's a monster.
Yeah, which is strange.
I mean, would you find that scary, that kind of stone statue? Because I personally don't think I would.
I mean, again, I would almost have the same caution like you did in the. I mean, not to a deep effect, obviously. But when you were a bit cagey about the representation of how scared Shaggy and Scooby were, at the kind of traditional wear in the episode of the new Scooby Doo movies.
Yeah.
To me, I was kind of like, this is literally just, I guess, a Mexican representation. I guess it would be like going to India or Thailand and being scared of the Buddha. To me, it's just, it's something you'd expect to see abroad as opposed to something that you'd see in a spooky haunted house there. But I mean, they're not wrong ultimately, you know. They're right to be scared of it because it is one of the things that start to go crazy, which begs the question on if the culprits, which you eventually find out, were just chilling in the hotel, like, patio for ages. Like, I don't quite know why they were there.
But ultimately, we see the stone move as well, and it starts to help Scooby with the luggage. So
I like the design of the hotel. I feel like when they were animating the Monster of Mexico,
they had this plane right next to them.
They must have, because the ghost of, what is it, Montezuma, looks like one of those stone creatures, you know, from that kind of montage. You know, that weird sequence when all those robot statues come to life. But this hotel looks exactly like Alejo's hotel in Veracruz because of the kind of open plan aspect. I mean, you can argue maybe Mexico just looks like that. I actually don't know. I haven't been to Mexico for like 7-8 years, but I actually really like the design of it.
I do too. I want to talk about briefly the two villains.
Ooh.
Because I have theories and I have thoughts. I personally don't see why there needs to be two of the same thing. Here's my thought. The first one you see would be very difficult to animate into a full story, right? Firstly, there's a full colour scheme, a lot of detail and everything that would be difficult to animate. And secondly, because it's such a big size, you'd have to have a very zoomed view to be able to incorporate it. So I almost think this would have lent itself well to just having one villain, but I think that would have presented some animation issues.
See, here's the thing.
And I almost want to say they created that big villain, realised they couldn't do anything with that in close-up scenes, and then brought in the smaller version. And also, in the end, they do end up sizing it down as well.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Because I agree with you that the bigger villain looks like it's more imposing, but again, you couldn't have those chase scenes or some of the smaller sequences with a monster that size, which is maybe why a second one was introduced. But like you say, they do scale it down, and it's like, if they can do that, what was the need for two villains? I'm almost thinking it is possible perhaps that they just wanted it to be a couple for some reason. I mean, I'm trying to think narratively. Their plan is to steal things on a large scale, involving a boat, a secret passageway. I mean, it could be that maybe they thought that kids wouldn't suspend their belief into thinking, yeah, this isn't just a one-man gang. Either he's going to have an ally or a load of goons. And ultimately, I think just one partner in crime would have been cheaper to animate than a bunch of goons, but I don't know.
No, I agree with you. Okay, so the gang have all seen the ghosts, and ultimately, like you say, there's a few kind of scenes that ensue here where they're kind of working things out, interacting with the ghost, not interacting. Do you know what I mean? Kind of that typical formula.
We have suspects though, like to that end. Like, they're not. I guess they're not just faffing about. There's at least some people introduced. So we have Senor Martinez, the hotel owner. Mm-hmm. Very creative name they've given. But you know, Senor Martinez. Honestly, I suspected him initially.
Yeah.
Because he's happy, chappy businessman. I guess I can. There's many reasons, you know. He could want land for his hotel. He could want to any Scooby reason to do a property. If he's the hotel guy, yeah, insurance, take your pick at this point. But then we're introduced, and I think this is where the episode fell a little bit apart for me, because we get two people in Aztec masks, who are a couple. Professor Stonak
and his wife, is
Alina, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, there's two entities, there's two ghosts, there's two creatures.
And there's two people that
Yeah,
are both
that-
wearing a mask already.
That's so coincidentally, like, for no narrative reason, it's like, oh, I guess we're here now. And here's the thing and I think getting invested into the direct-to-video movies has ruined this for me. But I think whoever gets kidnapped by the villain, that isn't a member of the gang. Yeah, because they have to be playing along to an extent. Because if it's a given that the ghost is bogus or that the monsters are fake, then, you know, who can get caught by it apart from someone trying to add jeopardy or credibility to that monster? I mean, you can Daphne, but...
Okay, so do you think then that's why movies like Legend of the Vampire and Where's My Mummy are so iconic, because they break that mold? Because Legend of the Vampire, tons of people go missing that aren't the villains, and also you said excluding the gang, obviously Velma and Where's My Mummy.
Well, there's yes, exactly that, actually, because you wouldn't if she's turning into stone, I guess you could say if it's not supernatural, then it's gonna be, there's something happening there. But then there's times where I do love the movie, but it takes it to a goofy extent. Like Aloha Scooby Doo with those little robot tikis. Yeah, they kidnap Snooky, but then you get Manu. He cartoonishly, not to be an insult to it actually being a cartoon, but goes, what's that noise? Goes off the camera. Help! It's the Wiggy Tiki!
Do you know what? I always thought those little minions were impossible, but now I've met Coco Diablo, I understand.
Maybe Coco made the minions.
Exactly, now I get it.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so ultimately as well, I guess, I have some issues with it being a villain made out of stone as well.
Okay.
Like, how do you make that costume? How do you move in that costume? How heavy is that costume?
Is the big one a costume or is it
a projection?
I actually forget.
It's the big part of it's a projector when you see it sized down, I think.
Yeah, then it's... Well, I would say... I can fathom it being a person in that you just see so many people. Like, there's one near you locally, right? Those men that, like, they spray paint themselves as robots and they do a little dance for a $5. So I guess it's like that. And,
but then they're not changing their shape and form.
I don't know. I mean, again,
Overthinking
there's a talking dog. I don't know. I mean, it's a good discussion to have, but at the same time, I feel like they explain it decently in that there's just some weird suits and then there's, like, special effects surrounding it. But...
This is quite a fun trap they spring at the end as well. You know, the bouncing about on springs.
I love that.
It's a very playful episode.
Very goofy, but very fun. Here's the thing. I'm a bit... Because I praised the music in the last episode, but I feel like this would have been quite a good sequence for a little song. A chase song. Or, I guess they didn't have the budget by then. But we spoke to, say, Rich Dickerson from What's New that was like... The goal with the music was to be able to reflect where the gang are, and we kind of just get the same music recycled from episode 1, which is understandable. And again, a good departure from the original Where Are You music that kind of was a bit repetitive for me personally. But I do miss the variety that, say, What's New Scooby Doo had in terms of location.
I guess the thing is we're not at What's New yet.
I want to be.
And the budget
Actually,
increases,
I love the Scooby Doo show. I do think going through these episodes, I think this is going to be what ages the best for me, but I don't know.
I mean, we were looking through the episodes just going, oh, I can't wait to do that one. Oh, I really want to watch that one. And like...
we get to do Gator Ghoul soon. Gator Ghoul. Like, that's mad.
Okay, so as JayBee's already alluded to, really, it was Professor Stonak and his wife. They were masked, and then we get the Fiesta.
Oh, I do have one criticism. That leaf being a trigger for a secret door. Again, we've spoken about overthinking the logic of things. I think that might have been a step too far for me. Because...
It's a talking dog.
No! What happens? The wind blows, it blows the leaf, the cover's blown, the base is flooded. A duck, like, rubs up against it. Entrance open. The tide entrance... Oh, I don't know. To me, that was just a step... maybe not physically or like technologically, but in terms of writing, I think it was a bit on the lazier side.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been too difficult to have Scooby's tail fall on it or something that's heavier.
Well, not. It's the fact that it is just one little twig that could be anything. I mean, I think the Konozuma triggers it with a stick. I would have believed it to have been if there was like a panel above the bridge, like a button. Maybe, yeah, 100%.
Or something you sit on.
But the fact that it's just that, I don't know. I had a problem with it.
I'm with you, it's fine. Okay, with that, we're going to verdict. So, JayBee, smash or pass?
Oh, this might get boring. But I do think that there are going to be some stinkers to come.
We'll get there.
I enjoyed this. I mean, that's all I can say. It felt fresher to me than... Here's the thing. I think this is the best of both worlds. And I know people really love Where Are You? And I like it too. People really love the new Scooby Doo movies. I think they're cool. But to me, this is the best of both worlds. It's got the classic simplicity of Where Are You? But the variety of the new Scooby Doo movies. So this is a smash, and I just can't wait to see what's next. I'm really excited to see. What about you, Millie? Would you smash or pass the Fiesta host is an Aztec ghost?
I think we're kind of on that path now. The momentum's picked up. It's a definite smash. Another fantastic episode. Both of the last, so far this series, I'm enjoying it so much. Ultimately, I think we were born at a time where perhaps we're not as gung-ho with Where Are You as a lot of people that were kind of more from that era. I certainly think we're kind of the next generation on in that this is what I'd come home to from school.
Yeah, I think it was the reruns, wasn't it? Because if you think we were 1998 born children, there was 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. So 4 dominant years of Scooby-Doo show reruns, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo reruns, and for all that wouldn't be on our subconscious because who remembers what they were doing at minus 4 and lower, but because they were so prominent and there was only one new episode of What's New Scooby-Doo per X amount of time, and then after season 1 there would have been a break, after season 2 there would have been a break. In the early 2000s they would be relying on these reruns primarily, I think.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. I feel like I remember this more than Where Are You?
Me too. Because, well, maybe mine was intentional. Because whenever it was this intro, I watched it. Whenever it was Where Are You, I thought it was too scary for me.
The intro is so important. Like, this just gives off such a fun vibe. You're happy and ready to go into the episode. Like, let's think about the song in your head now. Has it picked up your mood? Like, I used to
all together for a brand new show. And just seeing Scooby Doo. When we first get to the Scooby Doo episodes, like, I think there's only like a handful, like 3 or 4. But, oh my gosh. Scooby Doo was my favourite character, like, ever. Genuinely. Oh my gosh.
So with that, again, this was a unanimous smash. We loved this episode. I feel like things are just going to continue in positivity at the minute. But as JayBee said, there could be a couple of things that come into the mix that ultimately, perhaps may bring back a few passes. But I guess wrapping up this episode, JayBee, community news. Now, I don't even know where I kind of would want that to go, because I think we've certainly got a lot of videos to kind of make and things to discuss. So I'm just going to throw it to you.
I guess first and foremost... Yeah?
The Entertainer.
The Entertainer.
Yeah, so The Entertainer in the UK has released some incredible new things. There's a couple of games there, both set around Crystal Cove. There's a Paint Your Own Scooby, as well as kind of like a Scooby Clues set thing as well, which is really cool. We've kind of done shorts and stuff showcasing them. They're amazing. Asda at the minute have some like really good Scooby t-shirts and stuff there, and I know Sainsbury's as well, I think, has done a Christmas one.
Oh, I really want to find that.
Home Bargains have released a new Scooby plushie that we're in the process of trying to find, as well as we have found the new DVDs as well in our HMV today, the set of 4 kind of special one, and also the box set, which we will do an unboxing of on the channel.
You know what? That was actually a very cheap item. I'm just
It
thinking.
was £30 for 10 movies.
10 movies, which are usually like £10.
Well, we
No.
saw The Witch's Ghost second hand was £5. So realistically, it's really good.
That's actually outrageous now that I think of it. And you get the exclusive, like,
box.
design of the box, yeah.
Where are we going to keep this?
I don't know. Well, we've
No, we need
spoiled
it.
that we've got it, but yeah, it's great. But, as well, for people that like the reviews, the next episode should be, and correct me if I'm wrong, the gruesome game of the Gator Ghoul.
Gator Ghoul.
I remember it differently. I thought it was just the gruesome game of Gator Ghoul. I didn't know there was the in there. But Gator Ghoul is next, supposedly, and I'm really excited. Oh! Okay, here's the big one. So this will have been on Instagram and stuff for a couple of hours maybe before this goes out.
Oh, the interview.
And so that's, okay, if you do want to hear it first, follow us on Instagram at JayMillyVids, follow us on Twitter at JayMillyVids. I'm not getting into any new account if Twitter goes down, I'm too old. In fact, I probably will. We'll be on, like, I don't know what we'll be on. But
TikTok.
Facebook. I don't announce these on TikTok. Maybe I should. I don't know how to do that. But yeah, the next interview will be with Jim Krieg, who has never been interviewed by a podcast before, as far as I can tell. He's got a long history of Scooby Doo, so far as being known as a Scooby Dooologist, was a writer, producer, story editor for What's New Scooby Doo, wrote a couple of episodes of Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, as well as Mystery Incorporated, was the writer or co-writer of Scooby Natural, but also wrote Lego Scooby-Doo Haunted Hollywood, Franken Creepy, and I think wrote the story for the Kiss movie, so maybe there'll be a bit of beef in the interview from me or any of the other co-hosts. I mean, who knows? But this is the crazy part. The co-producer, and I suppose renowned Scooby-Doo purist, possibly behind some of the changes made in The Curse of the 13th Ghost, Return to Zombie Island, and Sword and the Scoob. And I know we've had a reputation, well, not a reputation, I don't want to say that, but obviously with an interview, we're not in there to rip anyone's head off, we're not in there to cause trouble, because that's not really the role of an interviewer, in my opinion. But we definitely do get into and actually voice our opinions on the changes made in Return to Zombie Island. So I don't think we've kind of let him off the hook this easily.
It's certainly a different one, this interview.
Yes, but he's done an amazing job. Like Franken Creepy is so good, and Scooby Natural, that's S tier easily, and What's New Scooby Doo is S tier. So he's definitely done more good than bad, but definitely there's scope, and we definitely do voice that. So that'll be out tomorrow at 10 p.m. English time. I don't know what time that is for anywhere else, but obviously it'll be on YouTube, and there'll be like a little countdown clock in your time zone. So that's amazing.
Any other community news?
I guess I hope that we don't have this in the UK, but I hope that everyone had a good Thanksgiving. There's a kind of PSA, because this is a Scooby channel. Some people might like Scooby-Doo 2, Scooby-Doo 2002. James Gunn just released his Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Oh, so good. We just finished watching it before the recording.
I won't, obviously no spoilers, but if you do like James Gunn, if you like Marvel, I recommend it. It's on Disney Plus. It actually nearly made me cry. So, yeah, that's kind of it. So, if you do want to hear more from us, if you want to hear more interviews, more videos, then please like, comment, and subscribe.
JayBee Milly.